So Twisters is in theaters, and I bet a lot of you are wondering whether or not it lives up to the 1996 predecessor, Twister. Well, let's get into that. I am the Indigenous Nerd, and today we're just going to be diving a little bit deeper into the Twisters movie, which I had the fortunate luxury of seeing last night. So we went on just the opening night, and I went in not knowing a whole bunch about the Twister franchise. I personally have never seen the 1996 original, so I may not have as much knowledge or as much anticipation as the people who've been waiting over 25 years for this standalone sequel. And I think that is an important thing to know about Twisters versus Twister, is that Twisters is a standalone sequel, meaning that it takes place in the same universe. However, it doesn't continue any storyline or anything from Twister, so if you're like me and have never seen Twister, you will not be missing much in terms of comprehension and understanding. What you will be missing is probably a lot of love for the franchise and a lot of excitement, and I personally, after seeing this movie, am going to go back and watch the 1996 Twister. There's a lot of people who I trust their movie knowledge who have said that it's one of the best disaster films of all time, so I'm going to be diving into that pretty soon. But onto this movie. So our three main stars here are, of course, the lovable Glen Powell, who has continued his rise up Hollywood after Hitman, after Top Gun, and of course Anyone But You, which took the Twitter world by storm, and he's really lovable in this as well. We also have Daisy Edgar-Jones, who plays Kate, and she is kind of the almost antithesis of our lovable tornado wrangler Glen Powell. And so those are our two leads. But we also have Anthony Ramos, who plays Javi, a lifelong friend of Kate's, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then, as a little bit of a side character, we do have David Corenswet, our future Superman, who was really exciting for me to see because I had seen him in minor roles and other things. But this was my first time I had kind of seen him as a staple, as somebody who was a big part of a movie. So it's really exciting to see what he could do. And so, this movie, I think, is enjoyable if you want a disaster movie. There is a lot of tornado in this one, and I think that plays really well. I think a lot of people going into this movie, that's what you want. Twister did tornado really well. So what do we do for the sequel? We add more tornado. But if that is not the thing that draws you into this movie, I would also say that it has depth and characterization that's kind of surprising, but it's welcome. You have kind of Glen Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones' characters playing the stereotypical opposing tornado chaser factions that were in the Twister movie, and so they kind of flip that on their head. It's like we're really kind of on the fence about who we think is good and bad in this sense. At the beginning, you think that Kate and her crew are like the top. You know, these are the people doing it for the right reasons. They're scientists. They're trying to help people. And then you have the Tornado Wrangler, who plays that YouTube sensationalist. And he's really here just bringing in a media circus and trying to exploit people's misfortunes. Eventually, spoiler alert, you learn that it's kind of the opposite, that the Tornado Wranglers are there to help. They sell t-shirts so they can provide food to people who have been affected by the disaster, while Kate's original crew with Javi is actually selling the data that they collect to real estate brokers who are going to swoop in and take advantage of people's misfortune. I think that was done really well, and it added a layer of depth on top of a kind of disaster movie that made it more than just a disaster movie, but an intriguing one, and one that you could just say it has a plot. Additionally, there are nice homages to the original film. You have people getting sucked up by twisters, which is always fun and a little bit funny to watch, but you also have a movie scene in there as well where the back of the screen gets sucked out, which is a nice homage to seeing the twister behind the screen in the original. Additionally, the plot kind of revolves around Kate's science experiment that at the very beginning of the story is kind of the reason that a lot of her friends get killed. She has 3 friends, one of them being her boyfriend, that get killed in a tornado because her experiment didn't work, and by the end of it, her experiment saves hundreds of lives. So you have that kind of driving the plot. But it's nice to see that the Tornado Wrangler, although he has a lot of yees and a lot of haws, he actually is smart and can help out. And I think the charisma of Glen Powell played that really well. I think overall this movie is a really fun movie to go in and just enjoy cinema. You have kind of the monster movie aspect of the tornado. It has a life of its own, both how they work in real life, but also in this film, like, you know, they're taking all these things and they're ravaging cities and they're killing people and all this. It makes it feel like it's a murderer kind of chasing you when they're running away from movies, but you also have that depth that I've talked about so many times already, and I think that really helps this movie a lot. As someone, again, who didn't know much about the Twister franchise, I loved this movie, and the only thing that maybe you'll get a little lost on is there's a lot of weather jargon, a lot of weather terms. They use exposition to try to explain it, but at the same time, you can get lost. I know at some points I was like, I do not know what they're saying, but I'm just going to go with it. So they do have that, but that's just like a layer of authenticity like they add to it. And if anybody's a weather expert, maybe they can fact check this movie, because I don't know whether or not they were correct, because I know nothing about weather besides what my weather app tells me. But I do recommend going to see this movie. It was one that I was personally really excited for, and it did not disappoint. I remember the first time I saw this trailer in theaters, I was like, I'm going to see that movie, and I'm going to see it really early, and I'm really excited. I love Glen Powell, and it delivered. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you hope for from one of these movies. You're not expecting, you know, the next film renaissance. You're not expecting this to be an Oscar award-winning performance, but you want to have fun, you want to enjoy your time, and you just want to see some twisters destroy some things. And that's what we saw here. So again, I recommend it. My score is an 8.5 out of 10. And let me know what you think about the movie. And until next time, I'll see you later. Peace out.